From Leawood to Liberty, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
We went to the Royals-Giants game on Saturday in Scottsdale, Arizona, one of the older parks in the Cactus League out here. It's in just a really neat and wonderful area where there's a bunch of restaurants and shops and stuff, and you take little buggies. For $5, you jump on a buggy and they take you over to the game. It's about a half mile away or whatever, or you can walk. It's a beautiful day. That place was packed. The cheapest ticket in was $49 on the lawn. There were seats down behind home plate going for $250. These people, these Giants fans are unbelievable. They're everywhere, and I can't believe how expensive that was for a spring training game. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what do they got, about 10,000 people in here? They're making a couple $1 million a game in spring training. Between the tickets and all the beer and merch and everything that's sold, I mean, the Giants are just killing it out here. It's crazy. And we were very disappointed because it was a split squad game and all the good Royals were over in Surprise playing against, I think, the Rangers on Saturday. And so we didn't see anybody worth watching. We watched Michael Wacha get knocked all over the park, but that was pretty much it. It was a fun day. My guest on my podcast today is Royals announcer Ryan Lefevre. It is our season preview for 2025 at kkhasissues.com if you want to check it out. And interesting note, Mark, you'll find this interesting. Ryan doesn't like to comment much on like stadium issues and things like that. And he doesn't really want to know, so he doesn't want to have to know and then act like he doesn't. But he did say, I don't know whether the Royals are going to wind up downtown or Johnson County. I really don't. And I thought to myself, well, it sounds like he knows they've narrowed it down to those two.
Yeah, that's not Wyandotte County.
Right, that's not Wyandotte County. And so I've already had a bunch of texts from people and emails, people saying, hey, it sounded like Wyandotte County's out for the Royals. When they heard Ryan speak, I said, listen, I don't want to speak for Ryan. He clearly says in the interview, I'm not on the inside on this. I don't know anything. But I think that jives with what we've been saying, and that is if the Chiefs are leaving, they're looking at the legends. And I don't think the Royals and Chiefs even remotely want to be neighbors anymore. I think that's the one given is they're both going to be in different locations now. I think we can rest assured on that one. So interesting stuff from Ryan Lefevre. If you want to hear the whole interview, it's our season preview. It's at kkhasissues.com. Let's go to the phone. Stephen in Kansas City, Kansas is with us on Uncanceled. Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, Kev. Hope you're enjoying it down there in Arizona.
Thank you.
You know, I think the thing about Trump and the tariffs, you know, we're just getting going here. I mean, this is nothing compared to what's going to happen when we really start hitting the waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, Joni Ernst is telling Breitbart that we probably are going to be able to cut $2.1 trillion by the time this is all over in a couple of years when we have an election, and maybe we can get the rest of it and balance the budget in the other 2 years. But we've got to focus. You know, don't keep our eyes on the media or anything else. Just keep our eyes on decimating the democratic avenues of waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, we had $300 million going to children under 11 for COVID. I mean, I don't know how that. I don't know, individual children under COVID that came out over the weekend. I mean, these temporary news cycles are just a absolute blip in the radar compared to what we're going to have to endure when they're. You know,
and that's easy. That's easy for you and I, Stephen. Okay, so you know we're like-minded here. We know what he's doing. We're willing to play the long game. He's our guy, and as I said in the last segment, I trust him. But right now, the news cycle's pretty rough on Trump. It's the first footing. We're 2 months in. It's the first chance they've had to say, "Uh-oh, this isn't working. Prices aren't down. Interest rates aren't down. You haven't really passed anything. They don't have a budget." All they've done is fire a bunch of federal workers, and you know the Canadian Prime Minister's mad at the United States. He's getting along with Mexico, it looks like, but we haven't really stopped all the fentanyl flow yet. The tariffs, are they working? Are they not? He puts them on Canada and Mexico, then he takes them back. It's not a good news cycle for him right now.
Well, I appreciate your objectivity, but I think even the media hasn't figured this out yet. This is about dismantling the Democrats' a fraud operation. This is
right,
not
which is why the media, which is why the media is going to jump all over Trump. They're trying to stop him. They don't care about any good news. They want desperately for more and more and more bad news every hour, every day. That's what they're clamoring for.
This is I hope we give it to them because we should We should decimate the divisions that are absolute, complete fraud, waste, and abuse centers. I mean, I don't understand.
You're correct.
What's the negative? What's the negative here?
Right. You're correct. All right. Thanks, Steve, for the call. I love that. But here's the thing. When we talk about lowering spending, when we talk about cutting jobs and doing those things, and Democrats scream and get outraged and say they're against that, most Americans you're clowns. You're idiots. If you think we can't cut government spending, you sound like a fool. But this latest rounds of stuff that have happened for Trump, it makes more sense when you start to say, okay, it's been a couple of months. These tariffs are going in. Look at the stock market getting pounded. You're not making any more money. Prices haven't come down. Interest rates haven't changed. And now he's jacking with every country around the world, angering them with all these tariffs. In the big picture, for me, I can sit back, as I said, I'll trust the guy. I've got time. We'll wait it out. Let's see what happens here. If this could work to where we can balance a budget and bring in hundreds of billions of dollars a year from other countries through tariffs and tax American citizens less, I am all in, even if it's a rocky ride for a year or two to get there. But the news cycle, this is where it does make sense for most people. They start saying none of this stuff has happened. He's talking big. He put the tariffs on, then he took them off. He's wishy-washy, doesn't know what he wants. That will stick. This cutting government jobs and reducing spending doesn't stick with the American people. They hear Democrats screaming about that, and most people are like, well, those people are fools. Of course we want to cut government spending. We think the government's too big. Most people don't like the federal government, don't like government at all. Most people, if you poll them, they think they're lazy, they don't do a good job, they spend too much money, and they don't really care about the taxpayers. So we're all in agreement on that, but the thing has turned the last few days, and Trump's going to have to wade through that. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to join us on Uncanceled. This is KCMO Talk Radio.
From Overland Park to Oak Grove, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, let's hit on a couple stories a little closer to home here. Our good friend Mike Thompson, who I used to work with many years ago back in the day in television, who is a Kansas state senator, is calling for the state of Kansas to change the way Supreme Court justices are elected in Kansas. He says it's done currently by, quote, a secret nominating commission. And it must end. It should be a vote of the people. Interesting concept. It is not the same as the federal government, the way they do it in Kansas. It is different. It doesn't get approved by the Senate, which would change things dramatically. In other words, if Laura Kelly said, I want to nominate this person, it goes over to the Senate votes, and they probably wouldn't nominate that person. So the will of the people is actually involved here. There's democracy in action. So I understand what Mike Thompson's going for. I like that. I am not a student of process in Kansas or Missouri and know how all of that works, but it seems like there should be some representation from your state's electorate when deciding who your state's Supreme Court judges are, justices. It seems to me that should be the case. The other interesting story closer to home was not all that close to home. It was in Texas, but it was a wild weekend for Xavier Worthy of the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is one of those stories that we see pop up now about every 2 or 3 months with either a celebrity, somebody famous, an athlete. It's always a man. It's always the same. They get picked up, they get charged with something, and lo and behold, that's not the case. It's almost like the police now arrive at these scenes guilty until proven innocent. So according to Xavier Worthy's lawyer, and since the authorities in Texas have dropped all charges on Xavier Worthy for assault and choking or whatever it may have been, they've decided not to pursue this. We'll assume that the lawyer here is at least close to getting this right. I know a lawyer always tries to make it sound really good for their client, so we have to be a little careful on that. But it sounds like Xavier Worthy was with a crazy chick. And I'm not afraid to say this. There's a baseball pitcher named Trevor Bauer. Mark, I don't think Bauer signed with anybody this year, did he? He's not going to pitch in the big leagues again this year?
Yeah, he was out last year, and I don't think he's going to be in this year.
So he got blackballed from baseball because a woman who liked to have really rough sex with him that lived in San Diego while he pitched in Los Angeles would come up for the weekend when he was at home with the Dodgers and stay at his house for the weekend. And she plotted with a girlfriend on things that she could steal from his house. And if she had rough enough sex with him and he bruised her up a little bit, she could have him charged and extort money out of him. Dude's worth $200 million. This happens, and I'm not justifying Xavier Worthy and his choice in a girlfriend or the way they treated him. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's great, okay? And I'm not justifying Trevor Bauer's way of life or any of these other people that this has happened to. But the bottom line, it was consensual rough sex. That's what it was. It wound up getting him blackballed by Major League Baseball. He's out. Nobody will touch him. At this point, they won't touch him because they don't want all the salacious stories coming up of all the rough sex and what he was into and that sort of thing, because that all just comes back. The guy can flat out pitch, but he's been blackballed. And so what happened was he said, I'm not taking this, okay? Not only did I not do anything wrong, this woman was trying to steal from me, and then she tried to extort me, blackmail me over all this, and I'm not going to do that. He's a wild personality, but he went back after her, and he countersued her, and he won. He won $1 from her. That's all he wanted was $1. But he wanted to clear his name and prove that this was all her, that it was a setup. Now, I'm not going to say Xavier Worthy's issue was with a setup, but this is happening everywhere in our society. And I think equal justice under the law is a great thing to strive for, and I don't even remotely think it's possible. We've certainly seen it depending on what your skin color is, and we absolutely see it depending on your gender. When was the last time you heard of a woman charged and convicted of assault against her husband or boyfriend? It doesn't happen. Don't tell me there aren't crazy women out there that scratch and claw and gouge and punch and kick and do whatever. They do. And according to the lawyer, that's what Xavier Worthy had. For 2 weeks, he'd been trying to evict her from his house in Texas, kick her out, and she wouldn't leave. He caught her cheating. She was with somebody else, according to the lawyer. And once he caught her, you got to go. Immediately after he gets arrested, the lawyer comes out and says, look, he's got scratches and he's got bruises and he's got receipts and videos to prove how crazy this woman is and the things that she physically did to him. And apparently they showed it to a judge or somebody, a prosecutor, and they said, yeah, we're dropping this case. Now, my question is, if you're dropping this, why aren't you charging her? If there's a violent relationship here and they've deemed that Xavier Worthy's done nothing wrong, why isn't she getting charged? That's the double standard in our law. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, it's terrible to be a man or anything like that. I'm not going to play that card. That's ridiculous. But if you are with a crazy spouse, partner, whatever, that physically hurts you when she gets crazy on a regular basis, that person should be charged too. And it should be the same laws. And it never is. You never hear these stories. You never hear of the women getting charged and going away and getting locked up and paying big fines. But it sounds like that's what this was. Again, I'm telling you what I've read. I couldn't care less about Xavier Worthy and his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever she is now or who his future girlfriend is. As long as they're happy and living their life together, I'm great. Just don't hurt each other. We say it all the time. One of the great tenets of being a conservative American is really simple. You do you, I'll do me. Let's just not hurt each other, right? You can be anything you want. I don't care, okay? But you can't hurt others. So this is where we cross over with transgenders in sports. Well, that's hurting women. It's hurting their opportunities to compete. In fact, it's physically hurting them sometimes, okay? I'm okay with you calling yourself a chick when you've got a penis. Just don't go play sports and hurt these other girls. That's wrong. That's where we draw the line as conservatives, truly. Just great. If you guys, Xavier Worthy and his girlfriend, whatever, have a volatile relationship, plenty of people have volatile relationships and scream and holler and do whatever. Don't hurt each other. Don't scratch. Don't bite. Don't kick. Don't punch. Don't choke. Don't do it, Xavier. Something is toxic there, and there's never, ever been a relationship where it's 100% one person's problem and not the other. So even if she's the one that is most violent and she started it and she has clawed him and scratched him and done all these things, it's probably only 60-40. He's probably making it worse too, right? So figure it out and let's all physically get along. Let's not do this stuff. So the Chiefs dodged one there, I think. I mean, when you first heard the report came out, it sounded terrible. It's like, oh boy, he's choking her and all these things. I mean, it sounds to me like what he did now was restrain her, that he got around her and maybe put her in a chokehold with his elbow to calm her down when she was doing whatever it is she does to him. But I ask these questions over and over. If that's the case, if that's what they found out, and Xavier Worthy does have videos and pictures, and they saw him bruised and scratched, why didn't they charge her? It's one of life's mysteries. Who knows? Also in sports, this is a horrible story. In Virginia, a high school track star named Kaylin Tucker went out for Brookville High School. This is Category 3, whatever that is. I don't know if they have 4 or 5 categories of high school sports in Virginia, but this is District 3 or Class 3. She won the 55-meter race. Pretty good. Then she gets in the relay race, and apparently she's the fastest woman, a girl on the track, 17 years old, junior in high school. And she's running the relay when another girl comes up from behind her on the inside. You're catching her on the turn because you're on the inside. You can get closer to your opponent because you have a shorter lane, right? You've seen that. You know how that works. And Tucker is to the right of this girl who's carrying the baton in her right hand, and she just starts whacking her over the head with it. And Tucker goes down, and off the track, she got a concussion. And they took her to the hospital to do a scan and see if she had a fracture on the skull. There's been no charges. Nobody's apologized. Nobody said anything. The story I read didn't even name the girl who did it because she's a minor. They won't even name the name of the girl who did it because the girl's not 18. They're saying, oh, there's laws involved here. The State Athletic Commission and the schools and whatever say, we can't comment on this case while we're investigating because of laws. There's laws that protect kids. Yeah, there's laws that protect kids. Remember that judge I talked about earlier in the show that's stopping Trump, that doesn't like the police and wants to make them obsolete? Yeah, he's the one who wouldn't try a 14-year-old cop killer as an adult. It's unbelievable what liberals do. And so now we have these laws in place. We can't even get the name of the girl And this was ugly. This was a hideous scene. This was Tanya Harding, man. This is crazy what they did. This girl comes running up behind. She knows the other girl's the fastest one on the track. She's on the inside, so she's sort of catching her. Bang, bang, bang with the baton in the head. Knocks her off the track and out of the race. It's clear assault. It's clearly assault. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the stuff that happens out there, really. I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether it's us, whether it's the whole world. I'm not really sure. Some Palestinian wackos went crazy in Scotland this weekend. They destroyed Trump Turnberry Golf Course because they hate Donald Trump. Trump Turnberry is one of the great courses on the planet. It is very famous. When Tom Watson was just a couple of months away from turning 60, that's where he lost in a playoff, the British Open, which would have been the oldest player ever to win a major championship. He had a 3-shot lead at the turn on Sunday, wound up in a tie, and lost to Stuart Sink. Very historic day. I have a portrait in my office that he gave me for doing an event with him at Loch Lloyd one time, emceeing it. And it's him standing on that tee box. There's a famous lighthouse at Turnberry, and he's got this look of just anguish on his face, locked in. It's at the turn at Turnberry. He's got 9 holes to go to be the oldest player ever to win a major championship. My friend Jim Colbert set the course record at Turnberry a few years ago for senior British Open champion. I think the course record was 62. 62 he shot there, and there's a plaque. He has the lowest score ever. So some great Kansas City connections to this golf course. These crazy Palestinians destroyed all the greens, just drove trucks over them and destroyed them, and they spray painted the clubhouse because they don't like Trump. Unbelievable. The second I saw it, as much as I know Trump loves golf, I thought, boy, we were staying out of that conflict. We were just going to fund Israel and help them out. This might really make him mad now. That's his golf course. That's his baby. Trump Turnberry is what it's called. If you want to see some pictures online, you're going to see one of the most beautiful settings for a golf course ever. I was slated to go there this fall, and I have postponed my trip to another time because I accepted a radio job, and I don't think I should be gone for 2 weeks starting this position so soon. That was going to be in August or early September. So I'll play Trump Turnberry another time, but I want to go someday and play there. It's a good thing. Sounds like it might take up a few months to restore the place a little bit, and I guess increase security and keep the Palestinian freaks out, the Hamas terrorist supporters, all away from Trump Turnberry. This is Uncanceled. I'm Kevin Kietzman. Our phone number, if you'd like to join us, is 913-408-7957. We got more coming up. We'll check in with Mark. We'll talk about the Chiefs signing some players. And, did you see all the incidents and arrests in Manhattan on Saturday at Fake Patty's Day? We'll get into that next on Uncanceled.
From Gardner to Grain Valley, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
In just a couple minutes, we'll check in with Mark. Got some good stuff for him. First, we'll go to the phones. Eric's been waiting patiently through the break. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. You're in Overland Park today. What is on your mind?
Good morning, Kevin. The two things. First of all, I'm the one that sent you an email about your autofill problem on Outlook. Did you ever fix that problem?
The fours?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. We got it.
Okay.
It was just a little snag in the keyboard.
Okay. That was the other thing, is that sometimes it gets jammed. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
But I was really calling you about what you said with the Xavier Worthy assault. Fox 4 had a March 8th article. It's still online, and they said he declined press charges. That's why they didn't bring him against her.
Yeah, but this happens all the time against.
He wouldn't do it.
Right, I understand, but oftentimes in these cases, even if it's the woman claiming against the man, she doesn't have to press charges. They charged Worthy, so he was originally arrested. That happens first. And if you want to decline the charges after that, that's one thing. But there was no arrest record on her.
Right. And I think the reason for that is what you talked about. I'm not arguing that it should. I think she should have been arrested, to be honest with you.
Yes,
I'm
she should be arrested.
Why it didn't happen, and the only thing I can figure is that she reported it, and as a crime, they arrested him, and then in the arrest thing, when they saw all the information, they said, "Okay, we can go ahead and arrest her now," and he said, "Don't do it." And I guess you can do that.
He has the right to not press charges, but I don't think the police have there's community safety at risk here. They arrest people all the time that aren't guilty yet or have been charged until they get booked or somebody else is a complainant. So, yes, I'm sure that was a factor, but maybe it shouldn't be.
And
right.
She's
going to go on to some other guy. Isn't she just as dangerous to the other guy that she's cheating with?
That's what I'm thinking. And I'm agreeing with you now. And that lady, I saw that baton pass. She whacked the heck out of that lady, and she has a concussion and possibly a cracked skull. She should have been arrested on the spot. I don't care if it's sports or not.
And charged as an adult if she's 17, yes.
Darn right. All right. Well, enjoy your Arizona.
Good call, Eric.
Thank
you, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're in lockstep. We really appreciate that. All right, let's check in with Mark. Mark Van Sickle, what say you? Nick Bolton, 3 years, $45 million. We'll focus on him first because I'm having quite a debate with a friend of mine. Do you like this signing?
I like it. I kind of figured this was coming after the Lamar Hunt Jr. conversation when he said Nick Bolton was his favorite player. I kind of saw this one coming.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that this is a deal that you had to get done. You're probably not keeping Justin Reed. Those were the two main leaders, besides Chris Jones, of course, on the defense. He's your quarterback. Nick Bolton is your quarterback of the defense. So I think it's a deal that they had to get done, and I don't think it's an overpay, I guess you could say.
So my buddy Cato is like twisted sideways. He's so angry at this contract. He hates it, and he doesn't apparently like Nick Bolton. And he just says the game today, you don't pay linebackers. That that linebackers are a relic and an era gone by. I said, Cato, Nick Bolton's on his way to the Hall of Fame. And then his head exploded and said, what? I said, I think he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, an iconic play to win a Super Bowl, and is the Chiefs' season record holder for all-time tackles. How's that guy not on his way to the Hall of Fame?
And if you think about this, even though they did just get smashed by the Eagles, they held Saquon Barkley to his worst game of the season in a game where they led when they should have been running the ball more. They couldn't. So there's that.
One of the big differences is Halls of Fame. Like in baseball, it's all just stats. If you have the stats, you're in. In football, it matters if you've won Super Bowls and made plays in those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And that's all he's done. I mean, he's one of the most iconic defensive plays in Super Bowl history, beating the Eagles. It was fantastic. It was great. And I think he's been here for all 3, right?
Yeah.
He's been here for all 3. And he set the team record for tackles in a season. I just don't know what else you got. He's going to get 3 more years here, so longevity is going to work for him. How many years will that be? Is he in his 6th year now or 7th?
I guess he was not here in 19.
Wasn't there in 19? Okay.
So he has 2 rings.
Okay, so this is going to lock him up for at least 8 years of professional football with 2 Super Bowls and the iconic play, and they may win another one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like the guy. He's in charge out there. I think he's a terrific player. We consider him a local guy. I think it's a good signing. I say you go with it.
I agree.
Hollywood Brown is back. 1 year, $11 million, according to reports. When I first saw this report, I thought they jumped on it and did it because they thought Xavier Worthy was going to jail. Did you have the same reaction?
No, I thought they were going to get this done. I'm glad they did it before free agency because it looks like it's only going to be at about $3.5 million off of the cap this year. So that's another good signing.
We've got Kansas State, Arizona State tomorrow night at T-Mobile Center. Nobody cares. KU plays either Central Florida or Utah on Wednesday, and then Missouri plays either Georgia or Oklahoma on Thursday. Are you excited for the tournaments?
I'm excited for this expanded Big 12 tournament. More days to it. I know maybe the basketball won't be great the first day, but I think it's going to make it for a more exciting tournament this year.
Get some beautiful weather. It's going to be really, really nice. Are you familiar with Fake Patty's Day in Manhattan?
I've heard of it, never attended though.
So we had some friends we met out here in Arizona, and they actually have a kid that goes to Arizona. And they said, oh, yeah, they're back in Kansas. They went back for Fake Patty's Day. Kids from they come from all over the country to go to Fake Patty's Day in Manhattan. And every year they talk about canceling it because it's just too crazy. It's the week before St. Patrick's Day. It's fake because spring break is next week. 116 incidents, according to the Riley County Police.
Ooh.
19 minors in possession. 69 open container laws broken. 22 arrests. 22 arrests. 6 arrests were for DUI, and 4 were for assault. That's just people fighting.
Oof.
I think it's
a rough
every year,
weekend.
man. They do a scorecard. I don't know why I laugh. They keep, the grumpy old people in Manhattan want to stop it, but the kids are saying, hell no, we're going to fake Patty no matter what. That's Uncanceled for this Monday. We're off to a great week. Dan Bongino's final week begins next on KCMO Talk Radio.